All right there, everyone. With the confirmation of our new Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, the 70-year era of liberal judicial dictatorship has finally come to an end. That is what we will be talking about on today's video. First, make sure that you get my latest book, The New Nationalism, How the Populist Right is Defeating Globalism and Awakening a New Political Order, free for a limited time as an ebook download on the link below. If you want an understanding of this amazing turn towards the nationalist populist right going on all over the world, then this book is for you. It's a quick read, and it's my gift to you for free for a limited time at the link below. All right, I am ecstatic. I'm absolutely elated to announce that it has just now been made official. Brett Kavanaugh has been confirmed by the United States Senate as our new Supreme Court Justice after 3 weeks of perhaps the single most disgusting display of demagoguery and defamation and lies and deceit ever perpetrated by a body of Democratic senators. Their efforts and intimidation, their threats, their lies, their deceit have all been for naught. Not only has the Honorable Judge Brett Kavanaugh been confirmed to the Supreme Court, but the outrageously vile and repulsive antics of the Democratic Party have all but wiped out any and all political advantage that they had for the upcoming midterms. I could think of few things that have the power to unite the right, to unite conservatives of all stripes, to bring together both pro-Trumpers and never-Trumpers than the future direction of the Supreme Court. We all knew what was at stake here, and there was nothing that the Democrats could have done that could have more united the right than their pathetic and deliberately orchestrated smear campaign against a righteous man, a husband, a father, a son, and indeed one of the finest juridical minds in our nation. I need not tell you that conservatives have been waiting for this moment for nearly 70 years, since the days of the Earl Warren Court, going all the way back to the 1950s, when the era of judicial activism really began. Remember, virtually every action to secularize our nation, from expelling the Bible and prayer from our public schools to Roe v. Wade, which didn't simply legalize abortion, but it absolutely mandated the service of abortion in all 50 states. No state has been allowed to shut down its one and only abortion clinic, which is getting close to 10 states that are down to the last one, by the way. From the expelling of Christianity from our public schools, to the mandating of abortion in Roe v. Wade, to the legalization of same-sex marriage, all of this has been forced down our throats through an activist Supreme Court. For 70 years, the Supreme Court, for the political left, has been a sort of legislator, a super legislator, an omnipotent, unchallengeable enforcer of left-wing secular cultural Marxist sentiment. It's been the one thing, and really when all is said and done, the only institution that liberals could consistently rely on to enforce left-wing orthodoxy down the throats of the vast majority of the American people, especially those who live in the heartland, the people of Pennsatucky, as it were, right? It was that one institution, the Supreme Court, that leftist tyrants could rely on to shove their secular, globalist, left-wing ideology down our throats, and they have now officially lost it. It's gone. It's been taken away from them. The fifth conservative vote has now been secured on the Supreme Court for the next generation. And how do you think he's going to rule from now on? What do you think will be the fate of left-wing judicial activism in the lower courts from now on? What if that sleazy porn lawyer, Michael Avenatti, wants to file litigation all the way up to the Supreme Court, right? Or Dianne Feinstein, or any other activist Democrat from this point forward. By the way, have you seen how liberals are now eating Avenatti alive? Have you seen that? Even CNN is coming out and saying that it was all Avenatti's fault. If he didn't come out with those ridiculous allegations of gang rape, then people would be taking this much, much more seriously. And of course, Avenatti is just firing back, and they're just more or less devouring each other, tearing each other apart. It's a textbook case of what we call ironic justice. But regardless, how do you think that any left-wing liberal activist cause is going to fare at the level of the Supreme Court from now on. I mean, quite literally for the next generation or two, with the smiling face of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh sitting there. And by the way, we shouldn't even think that any major liberal activist litigation is actually going to get that far. And that's because of how Trump has already radically transformed the courts throughout the nation. While everyone in the so-called mainstream media has been fixated on Russia or Trump's tax returns or Kavanaugh and the like, well, all this has been going on. Few have bothered to notice that Trump has actually been appointing more federal appeals court judges at this point in his presidency than Barack Obama and George W. Bush combined at this point in their respective presidencies. Now, if you don't know, federal appeals court judges are the powerful judges who sit just below the Supreme Court level. 8 of the 9 current Supreme Court justices were federal appeals court judges, including, of course, Brett Kavanaugh. No president has even come close to appointing as many appeals court judges as our dear President Donald J. Trump. And who is he appointing? Who are these judges? Well, President Trump has been working closely with advisors from the Federalist Society, particularly the conservative Leonard Leo, to appoint conservative, originalist judicial nominees who will apply the law as it is written, rather than the ways in which liberal ideologies seek to twist it and use it for political purposes to shove it down our throats. If you're not familiar with the Federalist Society, it is the premier conservative judicial society in the nation, and it's helped to seat 4 Supreme Court justices. The most noteworthy, of course, was the late and great Antonin Scalia, and most recently Neil Gorsuch, and of course now Brett Kavanaugh. Well, now with President Trump, appointees from the Federal Society are poised to take over the federal judiciary for decades to come. The average age of Trump's nominees is around 48. That's around my age. That's 7 years younger than the average age of President Obama's nominees. So that means that on average, Trump's court nominees will end up serving significantly longer tenures than Obama's appointees. Folks, Trump knows what he is doing. He is making America great again, and he's really actually doing it. And I haven't even mentioned the current unemployment level being lower today than at any other time in the last 50 years. That includes the Reagan era. It just gets better and better and better. And this is just the beginning. And so with the confirmation of our new Honorable Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, after 70 years of waiting and praying, oh my, have we prayed. After 70 years, we now have a solid conservative majority on the Supreme Court for the next generation. To all liberal judicial activists, we bid you a long-awaited farewell. Goodbye, ACLU. Goodbye, radical legal activists. Goodbye, liberalism shoved down our throats. You have now officially lost. You have officially lost your one go-to reliable institution to enforce your Marxist worldview down the throats of the vast majority of the American people who want nothing to do with it. It's over. Your era of left-wing liberalism is over. We are entering into a new conservative age, and frankly, there's no place for your failed worldview here. There's no place for your lies, for your smears, for your hypocritical accusations, for your Orwellian newspeak and political correctness, your mockery and your mimicry. We'll look back on these days as one of the bleakest moments in our nation's history. A moment that has, as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, finally come to an end. Your left-wing era is over. Our conservative era has just begun. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Click on our Patreon link below. Become a monthly supporter of this channel. We need you now more than ever. And help us to continue to analyze current events in light of awesome conservative trends so that you can personally and professionally flourish. God bless.